Well, happy Monday, upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And what?
Diesel, by the way.
Well, I was gonna introduce you, Diesel, but my man rolled high on initiative and just jumped right to the top of the pecking order. I respect it. Diesel didn't come here to play second fiddle. He came here to work. And I like it. Lonzo out on vacation this week, ladies and gentlemen. So today and tomorrow, we got the old OG band back together. We got the OG Rob Brown Show crew back in effect as my man D-Train is on the ones and twos today. What's up, buddy? How you been?
Good. I can't breathe because I spent a couple hours outside yesterday. And you know that's what the upstate does in the spring. It bombards your sinuses with plant pollen and you can't breathe. Played around in golf yesterday. Don't ask me about it. It did not go well.
How'd it go?
Not well. Not well. I told you, rusty AF.
Yeah.
But hey, I figured it out sort of by that middle 10 holes or so. I sunk some long putts.
Nice.
What about that? I chunked a lot of chips. And then I would follow it up with one where I would thin it and just shoot it.
Bladed across the green.
Straight past the green. And I was just like back and forth. I was playing ping pong over the green. It was a rough day.
I usually put it together about the 17th, you know?
Yeah.
Usually by 17, I figured the stroke out pretty good.
It's on a par. That's all that matters.
That's all you can go for.
Keeps you coming back.
That's right. Diesel joining us here on the show as Lonzo is out on a very earned vacation for the week. And we're going to bring the heat, baby. We're going to bring the heat high and tight inside. I like it. Can't wait. Got a lot of stuff to get into here on the radio broadcast, including, obviously, we had the NCAA tournament, not just the first two rounds taking place around the country, but we had 2 rounds of action taking place right here in the GVL, just down the street at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, where we had USC in Miami, we had Auburn, we had Duke and Michigan State, amongst others. I was at all of those games, every game in the first and second round here at the Well. Your boy covered live. Those of you that have joined us over on the social media at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate and twitter.com/ESPN Upstate got to follow along with that action from yours truly live at the Well. And I've got to tell you, I saw even Diesel live tweeting along with the tournament, including last night when Arizona was up against it for a little while against a very game TCU squad that would not go away no matter what Arizona did. The tournament is, I think, I've said in the past, D-Train, it is not the best championship in sports, right? Because even the best teams in their respective sports have problems stringing 6 wins together. It's a tough thing to do. But it is the most exciting championship in all of sports. And it turns out that was the first tournament first tournament matchups I've ever attended in person. It is somehow better in person than it is on TV, and it's really damn good on TV.
I loved how much Schadenfreude we've got. I mean, my bracket is a burned down house at this point.
Yep.
I think I have Villanova. Villanova making the finals is the farthest I can go. But I had Kentucky winning it all, so mine.
You were done in the second round.
The first day.
Yeah.
It's not good. I mean, you look at mine. I started marking out all the teams that are out, and I was just like, "Oh, this team lost. Well, I got to take them out of the round of 32. Got to take them out of the round of 16. Got to take them out of the round of 8 and the Final Four. Good God, this sucks. I don't think I've ever had my bracket decimated as hard and fast as this one has been.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I'm looking down. We're doing a bracket picking contest here on the Rob Brown Show that I invited you all to join. If you missed out on it, sucks to be you. But we're doing a bracket challenge here on the Rob Brown Show. Your boy checked in at, I think, 400 possible points through the first 2 rounds, which has stuck me, D-Train, good enough for about 30th in my own bracket contest. Now, here's the good news. Yeah, in this one I am. I'm usually pretty good in contests that I run on the show that involve me. I'm getting hammered in this one.
I appreciate, though, that you don't change the rules mid-contest.
No.
Try to make yourself win, because that is something that Mark Ryan 100% does.
No, we locked this thing down. Once the first game tipped last Thursday or Friday, Thursday, it was locked. You could not get in. You could not change your bracket. Here's the good news. I've got Arizona winning the title, and they eked one out in overtime last night. I mean, they tried everything they could to give that one away. They tried everything they could to give that one away. It was not ideal, but they got it done. Ahead of me right now, Diesel, I've got a guy who picked Houston, a guy that picked Iowa, a guy that picked Duke, a guy that picked Kansas, 2 more that picked Duke, one that picked Tennessee, one that picked Baylor, who is done. So some of y'all, if I got the champ right? Because you get 320 points on your score if you correctly identify the champion. If Arizona wins this thing, I'm inside the top 7, minimum, inside the top 7. And I'm sitting right now in my Sweet 16 with 1, 2, 3. I've got like 11 of my Sweet 16 still together. So I'm not in awful shape. But I've got to be almost perfect from here to the end of the run. Everybody's bracket's on fire right now. Like there's just a somewhere in the middle of the upstate, there is a dumpster and all it's got in it is our collective brackets. However, there is one cat that is ahead in the bracket that has racked up 460 points. Got 6 games worth of advantage on me heading into the Sweet 16. So he's got Purdue as his champion, which is a good little Purdue squad. A bunch of folks towards the top have got Gonzaga as their number 1. So I'm still in this thing is all I'm saying. All right. Here's what I did, Diesel, since you may not know. Everybody who beats me and Lonzo. And Lonzo, I love Lonzo, did not help me out. Went within all Big Ten Final Four. That's not going great, especially after the Hawkeyes got bounced this weekend.
I think I ended up with 3 SECs in my Final Four.
Also not great.
Yeah. I had. I know I had Auburn, Alabama, and Kentucky making it to the Final Four.
I knew I was gonna beat every SEC fan in this competition, right? Because the SEC fans were convinced this is the powerhouse year of the Southeastern Conference. Only Arkansas remains after Auburn, by the way, who wins the regular season title, gets it handed to them by the ACC's Miami Hurricane. Auburn was never in that damn game.
Really, the Big Ten and the SEC have taken it on the chin. They have taken a Mike Tyson uppercut to the chin in this tournament. Everybody was bemoaning the downfall of the ACC or celebrating the downfall, depending on what side of the argument you're on. And it just has not happened that way. The ACC has looked fantastic in this tournament.
Oh yeah, it's the ACC looks good. The ACC looks good. The SEC does not. The Big Ten looks okay. The SEC's got Arkansas remaining. The ACC's got Duke, Carolina, and Miami all still dancing into the Sweet 16. So your Sweet 16 is set. You know what? Let's do the lunch breakdown because that's actually part of it. So let's start the show.
I like that. It's good.
Yeah, right?
That's good.
Right? This has been off the show for a minute. We got all kinds of new toys here. The lunch breakdown to 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with, when together around the lunch table. These will be the 3 items that you are predominantly discussing. This is the Scuttlebutt. This is the lunch breakdown. Item number 1 on the old LBD. We found out over the weekend that former Clemson Tiger turned Houston Texan is now turned Cleveland Brown, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun signs a contract with the Cleveland Browns after waiving his no-trade clause. Last Tuesday, we found out that the Cleveland Browns were out of the running for Deshaun Watson, and then we found out 3 days later that they are the only ones in the running for Deshaun Watson.
Not so fast, my friend. Do I have to pay Lee Corso for that, or do I get that
yeah,
for
I believe
free?
there's no. I believe it is not royalty fee. I think you owe him like $6. Now
I'll just buy him a cup of coffee.
that'll work. The Cleveland Browns announced earlier Sunday actually, that they traded for Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. They are sending down to H-Town 3 first-round picks, a 2023 third-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick for the QB. They're also getting a 2024 fifth-rounder back. So they are swapping the 4th and 5th and Deshaun in return for 3 first-rounders, a 2023 third, and a 3 first rounds plus the 2023 third, which is about what I thought. I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were blowing up. Oh, the Browns got fleeced here. They didn't get fleeced. I told you this was a 5-asset trade. It was a 5-asset trade. It was going to be 3 first rounders, and then it was going to be 2 other picks or 2 players. It ends up being really a 4-asset trade, plus a pick swap to move up around. And this is ultimately about what I expected for a handful of reasons. Number 1, the thing that everybody kept forgetting. Oh, it's Atlanta, it's New Orleans, it's Carolina, it's Cleveland, it's Seattle. The thing everybody forgot was that at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson was the one who got to stroke the pen to decide what helmet he's wearing next year, or maybe not wearing next year. He got to stroke the pen to make that decision, right? And if he picked a team and said Cleveland it is, I'm not waiving it for New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, or Seattle. I'm going to Cleveland. Then Cleveland could go, and we'll just take that 2nd-round pick back. Thank you very much. Because if Deshaun said no to everybody else, the Texans could not do a damn thing about it, right? He had the leverage in this situation. So a lot of people are saying, oh, the Browns got fleeced. And I don't think they did. Or excuse me, the Texans got fleeced. I don't think they did. I think they got the best that they could get based on where the leverage in this situation ultimately fell. Now, what's interesting and what's got a lot of people's ears perked up here is the way that the contract was structured for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun, next season, is getting paid a base salary of $1 million. He's got the highest rate of guaranteed money of any NFL player ever. But next year's salary is a base salary of $1 million. Why do you think that is, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody got any guesses on the Rob Brown Show Home Edition? It's because the Browns tried to protect Deshaun in case Deshaun gets suspended for next season. If Deshaun gets suspended next season, he's out $1 million. Now, for a guy like me and Diesel, that is retirement money, right? Diesel gets $1 million. We may never see him again. He's buying a bass boat and a lake, and you're not invited. For Deshaun Watson, that's a drop in the bucket in a, $200+ million contract with most of it guaranteed, right? It's nothing to Deshaun. And the Browns structured it this way so that if he is suspended next year, effectively, he loses out on $1 million. He still gets all the money on the back end. And you got to wonder, is that why he picked Cleveland? Were New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Seattle not willing to, A, play with salary cap rules, fast and loose, and B, tick off Roger Goodell in the NFL by clearly structuring a contract to protect Deshaun from the actual punishment of a suspension? The suspension, hey, you can't play football, that's not the punishment for an NFL player. The punishment is you can't get paid while you're not playing football. So the Browns went, all right, cool, we just won't pay you a lot next year. If you don't get suspended, great, you play for the year. And if you do get suspended, you're out $1 million, and we got you locked in for year 2 at $100 million in guaranteed salary, right? You got to wonder if this is the reason that he ultimately signed with the Cleveland Browns, and if so, does the NFL step in and go, no, we ain't letting y'all get away with that. We're not letting you do it. You clearly are playing with contracts, but even if they do, the interesting part here, Diesel, even if they do that, you've got to keep in mind every other team for the past week up till last Wednesday, for a week leading up to that, was doing the same thing, was shifting money around in contracts in order to get under the salary cap, right? The Saints, for example, went from $80 million over the salary cap to about $1 million under it in 3 days by restructuring contracts. So can the NFL step in, right? There are restructuring rules that are in place, but teams do this all the time. Will the NFL step in and go to Cleveland and go, no, we're not letting, no, absolutely not. And if they do, what's the reaction? Plus, on top of all of that, Diesel, what I'm really interested in watching is the public relations fallout from the Browns. I've already seen a ton of Browns fans, or should I say former Browns fans on Twitter, say, I'm done with this team. I'm not supporting a team that supports Deshaun. I have seen a lot of Deshaun fans who say they are now Browns fans to support the guy. The Browns were, very interestingly, the Browns released a statement from Jimmy Haslam, the owner, and Dee Haslam, his wife. Just now, I went and looked this morning. Granted, I didn't look through everything the Browns have released for the past 5 years, but I looked at a number of releases from ownership of the Cleveland Browns, and it's always signed Jimmy Haslam. But because it's Deshaun and his situation, now it's from Jimmy and Dee Haslam because a lady signed it. And if a lady signed it, all you culture warriors out there need to just get over it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Carolina Panthers fans saying the same thing. Oh, if we sign Deshaun Watson, I'm giving up my PSL. I'm giving up my season ticket. And you know what I say? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You will be back as no. A team that's near you or a team that wins. That's how NFL fandom is decided. Stop acting like I'm not going to be a fan of this team anymore. I don't believe you.
I got to tell you. I didn't go on Twitter because I didn't feel the need to virtue signal about a decision I hadn't made yet. But when the Saints were considered the front runner for Deshaun, I legitimately question, like, can I openly be a Saints fan with this guy? Because away from the radio, I don't want him on my team. I don't want the baggage. I don't want the drama. I don't want the labels. I don't want any of that, right? And that's not an indictment of Deshaun. That's just I don't want him as a quarterback of the team, and it's a tough spot. There are people who genuinely walk away. Now, you might be right still in that a bunch of them will be back. But regardless of the fans, it's a PR nightmare for the Browns.
But if he wins your 13 games, there's a lot of people who will suddenly shift and say, you know what? I'm a fan of the team. I like the team.
Right. To me,
it's not about the quarterback. It's not about any one individual player. I'm a fan of the team, so I support the team. I don't believe people. It's like people who text into a show, and I'm sure you get them all the time.
71307.
People who say things like, "You've upset me. I'm never listening again," and then you see their phone number text in again like 2 days later. You guys know that we can see your phone numbers, right? When you say things like that, we know you're full of it. I'm not. I don't believe you people when you say these things.
Can I just tell you that Diesel's Daniel Day-Lewis impression when he goes into his method acting of hypothetical fans, guys, he went back in the chair, the eyes closed, he leaned into the mic, the hands were going.
It's all about drainage.
Somebody get this man an Emmy, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a break. We got 2 more items on the lunch breakdown, but obviously one of them is the Sweet 16 on both the men's and women's side. We'll take a look at that, where the brackets and line up and the matchups we like on both the men's and women's side. And We've got some updates on the South Carolina men's basketball coaching search. Some names they were interested in no longer available. Some names that they were not seem to be bubbling up to the surface. We'll break that down for you coming up later on in the show and more. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. We'll take us off the stream until we get Diesel connected, guys. I'll be right back.
Wait, we're teasing the fact that we're changing our name? Yeah, that's what a tease just said. Isn't it ESPN Upstate promo?
I got told not to say anything about it.
The tease just aired.
I'm still not saying anything. Yeah, I just that promo.
Yeah. Did it say?
No, it just said something big is coming for the
Oh,
Upstate
okay.
fan.
Yeah, I
When they
heard
dropped
something.
the name
It
in
just
it.
piqued my ears. I was like, wait, what?
So while we're on air together, only your mic stays unmuted on StreamYard. So I'll turn the mic on and off. Just don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'll do everything on the stream. I'll just say it.
Thank God. Oh, this was great. Have you seen this video on the TV? This pig fighting off a bear.
Yo, pigs
It's
are
like-
no joke. Like pigs are no joke. They
That
are-
bear thought he had like an easy meal.
Uh-uh.
No, sir.
How's it gonna get out?
Why does somebody have a Ring camera pointed at their backyard?
Sure, the pigs don't kill anything like a bear.
Like a bear.
apparently. Holy crap, that's amazing.
10 seconds.
It's like my house, son.
Yeah.
Well, if Arkansas plays UCLA, I'm taking the Hogs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. I'm Rob Diesel, filling in for the great one, Lonzo, today, who's on vacation this week. He shall rejoin us coming up on Monday, a week from today. Lonzo will be back, but we got Diesel today and tomorrow, and I think we got Tim Snow on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday.
The Snowman.
The Snowman. I don't know that I've heard him called that on air yet.
I just want to know why Owen Watterson's Twitter handle is not H2 Owen.
Good call.
H2 Owen.
Water boy.
There's so many opportunities to image that guy.
Yeah. All right. Sweet 16 in play, ladies and gentlemen, for the men's and women's tournament. We'll start over on the men's side where we've got a couple of days off. We start back up on March 24th. And on March 24th, we will see Gonzaga take on Arkansas, the lone team remaining from the Southeastern Conference. They knocked off the 12 seed of New Mexico State, busted up a lot of brackets because a lot of folks had a Gonzaga UConn showdown in this Sweet 16. But of course, UConn got upset in a 12-5 upset back in round number 1. New Mexico State, the Lobos, could not hang on with the Hogs. A close game, 53-48, but Arkansas moves on. Gonzaga had some trouble with Memphis. They trailed Memphis with just a few minutes left to play in the second half of that game, but Drew Timme took the blank over late in that game, and the Zags are moving on to the Sweet 16. Also on the 24th, in the bottom half of the West bracket, the Duke Blue Devils are the escapee, one of the two escapees from the Greenville site as Duke knocks off Michigan State 85-76. Phenomenal basketball game, by the way. And y'all, outside of sitting next to the speakers when I saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra play, it was the loudest that I have ever heard the well. It was unbelievable. I was sitting courtside about a row back for that Duke Michigan State game, and next to me was a young lady from another media outlet who was in the little media spot next to me, and we got to talking during the game. And she said, are you a big basketball guy? I said, yeah, I love basketball, and I love this sport. I love this sport, and I love this tournament. And she said, I just got into sports. I'm learning basketball. She said, but I got told this is like a big game. And I said, yeah, it's a huge game. Not just in that it is a Sweet 16 bid, but you got two coaching legends in Mike Krzyzewski and Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo trying to end Mike Krzyzewski's career. If Duke loses his game, then you sat here for Mike Krzyzewski's last game as a head coach at Duke. So it's a huge game. And then we got to the second half. And for the most part, for the majority of the game, Duke was hanging on to a lead that hovered between 4 and 8 points, right? State would go on a run, Sparty'd go on a run, and then Duke would go on a run and keep the lead. It'd go from 8 down to 4, back up to 8. And then Sparty went on a run and took the lead with about 6 minutes left to play. And when Sparty took the lead, the place came unglued. There's apparently a pretty decent little Michigan State following here in the upstate.
Well, this is a second home for Michigan State fans. I mean, they're here every year for a baseball tournament at the Drive Stadium.
Yep.
I believe one of the Drive owners or general managers is a Michigan State alum, so they bring them here all the time. It's a second home for people from East Lansing.
Well, it was obvious during that game because they popped off. Then a few minutes later, Paolo Banchero would throw down a nasty dunk to give Duke back the lead. And when the Duke fans popped off, the building rattled. It was unreal. Like I've been in some good basketball arenas before. I've been at some great basketball games, both NBA and college in the past. It was the loudest basketball game I had ever been to. As we all thought that, Izzo might send Coach K off onto the sunset with a heartbreak. But Duke comes back and wrestles it away from Michigan State. That stadium popped off so loud The young lady next to me, after Duke took the lead back late and started to grow it, when the Duke fans popped, she jumped in her chair at how loud it was. I was like, yeah, get used to that. March Madness, baby. Anyway, Duke knocks off Michigan State. Texas Tech gets by Notre Dame in one of the few perfect sides of the bracket that I had, except, by the way, can I lodge a complaint? I'd like to speak to a manager, please.
Oh, God, here we go. Upstate's Karen.
Dude, give me the Bob haircut, all right? The referees in that Michigan State-Davidson game were the worst in the tournament I've seen so far. There's been a couple of games that were dictated pace-wise by the officials more than I'd like. But the referees in the Davidson-Michigan State game decided they wanted their names known. And it was a damn shame. Because that game, I'm not saying Davidson would have won the game, but it got late in that game. Davidson was fighting with the lead, and then all of a sudden the refs decided every little ticky-tack ass foul that happened in that game needed it. They let the boys play for about 36 minutes out of the 40, and in the last 4, the refs decided every little bit of contact needed to get called, completely changed the pace of the game. Again, I'm not saying Michigan State doesn't still win that game, but the refs took a hefty opportunity away from Davidson in what should have been likely an upset.
The exact same thing happened in the North Carolina Baylor game. When they ejected that North Carolina player, Manic, that completely changed that game. North Carolina was on fire, could not miss
25
a shot. And then they took him out of the game, and it completely changed everything. It put a lid on the basket for North Carolina. Baylor was hitting everything. They came roaring back, and the referees changed everything. And they said, "Oh, the game's getting chippy. They've got to manage it." I was like, I don't really see anything getting chippy here. The people had a hard time with the North Carolina center that backed over another player and fell over him. That's called tripping, and it wasn't the North Carolina player's fault. So I'm not sure exactly what the referees were seeing in that game that was so chippy, but it completely changed the tone of that game and gave Baylor a chance to come back and win it. And I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Referees taking North Carolina's best player. And I am not a North Carolina fan by any means. I love seeing North Carolina lose because they engaged in 30 years of systematic academic fraud. Chris on Twitter, who didn't go to North Carolina, but he stands for North Carolina anyway. I love seeing North Carolina fail at things, but I don't like seeing things unfairly taken away from any team that is dominating a game and watching the referees do something to intentionally bring the favorite back into the game.
Yeah, I was watching that game while, Diesel, you'll love this, installing a bagging unit on a riding lawnmower.
Do you feel like more of a man today?
I really do.
Nice.
I really do. Watching that game in the driveway while putting a bagging unit on the girlfriend's riding lawnmower.
Now you sound like less of a man.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's the girlfriend's riding lawnmower.
No, I push my lawnmower like a man. All right?
Does yours self-propel?
No. It don't even got a motor in it. It's just got one of them little wheel spins with the blades on it. I don't cut the grass in my house. The lady friend does. It's her therapy. She likes it. Fine by me. Less work for me, and I get to go, I'm letting her do it because she likes it. It's a win. Anyway, I hear, and that's going to be an ejection for Manic on a Tech 2. I was like, well, that's bad. And I went and watched it. Zero need for that ejection. Zero need for that ejection. That was a box out with a no-look elbow that unintentionally caught a dude in the face. There was no need for that ejection. And, we've talked about this on this show in the past. The concept of an unfalsifiable claim, right? You say something that it is impossible to prove false, and therefore I can't prove it false, and you keep claiming that it's true, right? You saying a thing does. All right, so here's what I'm saying.
It's called a straw man argument.
Yeah, it's unfalsifiable. I can't prove it false, which means you believe that you get to keep believing it as true. He threw the elbow at the Baylor player's face, right? I can't prove that he did not. I can't prove that he did not intentionally throw the elbow. You can't prove that he did. Here's what I saw as a guy who played power forward / center. What I saw was a battle between two of the better players on the floor. I saw Manek get possession of the spot under the basket for the rebound, attempt to box out. Now, boxing out is if you ask youth basketball coach Rob Brown, the most important thing you can teach young players, right? Rebounds win and lose you the game. In every game, rebounds win and lose. Manek got him on the back, and then when you go to box out, you wrap the leg around their leg and the elbow around their body so that they are effectively trapped between your elbows and behind your leg. That way, if they're going to get the ball, they have to go over you to do it, right? Manek threw his elbow back because he's trying to wrap it around, push the Baylor player onto his back so that if he's going to go up and get it, he's got to go over Manek to get it. Just happened to be unfortunate that the Baylor player stepped to his left and his nose was where Manek's elbow was going. It was not intentional. It was not a dirty shot. Don't get me wrong. I think there have been some spots this year where Manek got over aggressive and a little bit dirty. But that wasn't one. And just because Carolina's up 25 on a 1 seed does not mean you blow that whistle. All right? Baylor could have climbed back in on their own. They didn't need help. And I'm not saying they did it intentionally to help Baylor, but it was a weird spot to decide to eject the best player on Carolina's bench. It was a weird spot to do it. Carolina would ultimately end up going on to win in overtime 93-86, if I recall off the top of my head, over Baylor. And Carolina now takes on UCLA in the Sweet 16 after Johnny Juzang and the gang, who probably higher than a 4 seed in my opinion, but they knock off the 5 seed of St. Mary's 72-56. Under them in the East bracket, Purdue, the 10-point win over Texas, 81-71. Purdue will take on St. Peter's. The Peacocks, baby!
Yes!
You gotta let me strut, Captain! That's a reference from the other guys, which if you've not seen it, watch it tonight. It's amazing. St. Peter's, the Peacocks, get by the Murray State Racers 70-60 after Murray State knocked off San Francisco. St. Peter's, of course, in the first round last week, knocked off Kentucky and busted up a lot of brackets. Can you think of anybody specifically, Diesel? Yeah, yours. As Kentucky goes down to St. Peter's, the Peacocks, you got to let me strut. Favorite part, post-game interview. They go out and they are interviewing the head coach of the St. Peter's Peacocks. They go out to interview Shaheen Holloway. And I want to say it was Allie LaForce, but I could be incorrect. It was anyway, whoever the sideline reporter goes now, coach. So St. Peter's is from New Jersey, right? She goes, Coach, you're a Jersey guy and you've just taken a Jersey school into the Sweet 16 for the first time. How do you feel? And he doesn't go, feels great. Proud of the kids. What does he say?
I'm a New York guy.
I'm a New York guy. I'm from Queens. He says, I'm a New York guy. Jersey adopted me. Freaking loved it. He's like, absolutely not am I a Jersey guy. I coach in Jersey. I work in Jersey, but I'm a New York City guy. Get off me. Phenomenal response.
Borough rivalries never die.
No.
Do you remember the ESPN commercials back in the day? The rivalries never die.
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy and a girl. They were it looked like they were on a blind date. They were riding down a dark, windy mountain road for some reason, because I guess that's what you do on first dates with people you don't know. Take them to places where you might be able to dump their body. Anyway, they're driving down the road, and she says something about where she went to college, and she says she went to Michigan. He goes, oh. She said, where did you go to college? He goes, I went to Ohio State. She opens the door and shoves him out.
Oh, I had to tell you that I went on an ESPN commercial bender last week because John Clayton passed away, right? The
Yeah.
professor.
Yeah, his Slayer commercial was phenomenal.
Went back to watch that commercial. Mom, double my segment. Such a great moment, that commercial. Because the rumor for years was that John Clayton had a ponytail, right? Because like if you ever looked, he's bald on top, but there was these little tufts that stuck up behind his ear, and he never did anything but face nose first at the camera. So for years there was the rumor that Clayton was rocking a big '80s rock star ponytail, and that's where that the inspiration for that commercial came from. And then I just went down the rabbit hole of old ESPN commercials, including the greatest one ever with Steve the Crocodile Hunter Irwin tackling Florida's Albert the Alligator when he came out of the elevator. And Scott Van Pelt looking at him like, okay. The second, my second favorite one ever was, I think it was Van Pelt and one other anchor were waiting, and the elevator opens, and it's the Arizona State Sun Devil, and the inside of the elevator is red, and the light says down, and they're like, "No, we'll just catch the next one."
Nope.
And the
Yeah. That one, there was the Pittsburgh Penguin and the New Jersey Devil fighting over the thermostat.
Yep.
That was great. I
Yeah.
think it was Clayton Kershaw throwing pencils up through the ceiling, and it would go up from the floor and the next story up. There was the LeBron James, "Did you steal my chair?"
Van Pelt's like, "No, why?"
No. I hope you find it.
LeBron sits in that tiny office chair. Personal favorite was always Drew Brees stuck at the gate in the Mardi Gras float he's trying to drive in, and he's like, "Back up! The gate's too narrow. I just back up." Well, everybody else is. Oh, dude, there's been some great ones, but I gotta think Clayton's is gonna go down as the best. Phenomenal stuff. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll keep looking down the Sweet 16. Miami gets in out of Greenville alongside Duke. We got a couple of 1 seeds still. Actually, we got 3 1 seeds still dancing, which is great for me because Rob Brown still got 3 of his Final 4 live. At least I got that going for me, which is nice. Back after this, Rob Diesel, the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate.
Where's my help? Marching down the field.
Peacocks.
And we refuse to yield.
He gets that football team so hype at the end of the episode. It's beautiful.
So apparently the new season of Fresh Prince or Bel Air is much, much, much different. The tone is completely different. It's not a comedy.
No, it's like
It's a drama.
drama, yeah.
It's like a racial drama, I think.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. It's on what, Paramount Plus or something like that? If it's on Paramount Plus, I can't watch it. We don't have it. 15. So as soon as your rejoin ends, I'm gonna play this just for a couple seconds. Cut it whenever you want.
We're marching down the field, Peacocks, and we refuse to yield no and suffer, because we are rubber, we are the Peacocks of ULA.
Gotta love it. We are the Peacocks. So good, man. St. Peter's. You know, the tournament's better when you have a Cinderella, isn't it? The tournament's better when you've got the team that nobody had in the Sweet 16 making the Sweet 16. When Florida Gulf Coast University with Slam Jam U made their run a couple of years back, and everybody was on with FGCU because they were just putting on highlight tapes. The Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast, when they were putting on highlight tapes in their games up to the Sweet 16, it was electric, man. And I got a feeling that, you know, every now and then you get one of those teams that everybody just kind of like they become America's darling, right? St. Peter's is that right now. Problem is they're up against a buzzsaw team in Purdue. They're up against a buzzsaw team in Purdue. Purdue knocked off Texas by 10, and it wasn't particularly close in that game. I'm all in on St. Peter's. I love this team. They're fun. They play loose. They play casual. They don't try to force the game when it's not there. And their head coach is just a New York guy. Just ask him. He'll tell you.
I did love watching him just stand back, like hands in his pockets, just watching him celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
Just watching him have fun. Like, he's not trying to be the star. He's not trying to say, look at me, look at me. No, he's just like, I love watching my guys over there having fun.
Give me that coach. Give me that coach all day. Love Shaheem. Love the Peacocks. All right. We got to take our break because I came off the clock just a little bit, but we got a lot more to discuss coming up during the show. South Carolina's men's basketball coaching search is on. A couple of names that were in are not any longer. A couple of interesting names have cropped up. We'll tell you who they are and what that means. NASCAR ran a different kind of race at Atlanta, almost a mini super speedway. And not only was it very interesting, but a major player in NASCAR is now calling for NASCAR to do more like it. I'll tell you who that is coming up on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Stream's still live.
Yeah, I leave it up during the breaks. I leave it up during breaks. We turn it off for endorsements, for live breaks.
So they can still hear us.
Yeah, so we talk. Yeah,
Hey, guys.
Let's see. All right, let's see.
I didn't know. Hello.
Steven says, I got 15 guys ahead of me, and we will have a Duke's Mayo segment. Well, that's going to happen anyway. I mean, it's the Rob Brown Show. You know how we do. I found it interesting. I was at the well this weekend. I grabbed a couple of hot dogs, and they do not offer Duke's Mayo.
Did you ask their permission first before you? Was this in the bathroom or in the concession line?
See, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we bring Diesel back on the show every now and then, just to spice it up. Can't afford to make Diesel's appearance free for the stream. Diesel commands a high price. He is what we refer to in the business as a commodity. Justin, welcome in, fella. Good to have you, buddy. Appreciate you popping by. Thank you very much.
Peacocks. We're marching down the field, Peacocks, and we refuse to yield. Something tougher because we are rougher.
Didn't they do that at one point? He forgot the words to the fight song.
What if I wanna? Does Lonzo load these podcasts during the show, or do you wait till after?
Hour, he'll throw 'em in.
Okay. Yeah, playing yesterday, I understood Kevin Costner in Tin Cup when he said, "My swing feels like an unfolded lawn chair." I was like, yeah, I get it now. This does not feel good today. I don't know what's going on. It's not that I haven't been swinging golf clubs. It's like I forgot how to swing yesterday.
It happens. It happens.
What I was doing was I wasn't twisting at the torso enough, so I was bringing the club too far up this way instead of bringing it around. I was bringing it up, so I was slicing across the ball and I was creating a slice. But I kind of figured it out towards about hole number 6, and for some reason I have an eidetic memory when it comes to like golf courses.
Yeah.
There is a par 3 on the front 9 that you tee off. It feels like an elevated tee box, but it's not. But it goes down a hole and then back up, and it's an elevated green with a giant bunker directly in front of the green. And if you don't at least clear the green, you're coming all the way back down to the bottom of the ravine.
Yep.
And I got up there with a 5 hybrid and just like belted one dead straight. Came off that hill and rolled about 4 inches into the fringe and missed the putt. So I missed the birdie putt, but still, like I hit it. I just raised my hand like Albert Pujols, like that's gone. That's gone. I know it. When you get a hold of one, you know it, and it feels good.
That's the one that's got the drive where it goes down to the little ravine and then the fairway picks up on the other side, right?
Yes.
So I played there with Harks one day, and everybody went lay up, and I was like, man, I want to go for it, but I just need to lay up. And Harks goes, the head coach of the Triumph goes, you get it over the ravine on the fairway backside, I'll give you $100. And I was like, word.
Deal.
So I just crushed
One
it. One swing. Crushed it. Flew the ravine, hit the fairway, bounced 8 inches into the rough on the other side. And he's like, nope, I said fairway. I was like, you jackass. But I was impressed. I got over. Absolutely.
That's one you got to catch. You got to hit it dead straight.
Yeah. He's like, why don't you do that every time? I was like, because 9 times out of 10 it goes. It'll go 290.
Yeah.
But nowhere near the fairway.
Right. Yeah, I can't breathe today from being out there. It's not fun.
You know what a Bradford pear is?
Yeah.
Courtney's got 2 of those in her front yard. And yesterday, the white leaves falling out of them looked like freaking snow outside of the window.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die.
This meme, NCAA swimming champ caught in possession of performance-enhancing testicles.
The Ryan Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Diesel filling in for the great Malonzo. I am Rob Brown. Matt Ryan's career with Atlanta may or may not be coming to a close. The Indianapolis Colts have inquired about a potential trade for the longtime Falcons quarterback. Matt Ryan is due a $7.5 million roster bonus tomorrow. And according to multiple reports, the Falcons have been fielding trade calls the last few days about him. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network is one of the ones reporting that the 36-year-old signal caller has been drawing interest from other teams, including the now Carson Wentz-less Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are among one of a few QB needy teams in the market for a trade. And Matt Ryan would be a good fit, right? Like he's a bridge. You're getting Matt Ryan for 2 or 3 seasons. The guy's 36, but he still puts up numbers. I've said, I've seen, I can't tell you how many guys over the past few years who have blamed the woes of the Atlanta Falcons on Matt Ryan. LOL, nope. All right. The guy still puts up numbers. Matt Ryan has crossed the 4,000-yard mark, I think, every season, if I recall correctly, since 2011. And in 2011, he missed the 4,000-yard mark by about 32 yards. Matt Ryan hasn't been the problem. But if the Falcons are looking to move on and start changing things up a little bit, you might as well get something for the deal out of before he just walks away. Good luck. We'll see how Atlanta does. Hint, not great. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. 2 hours left. Rob Diesel, ESPN Upstate.
You guys don't run a Sports Center 90, do you?
The rejectee to the rejector. Dear Harvard Admissions Committee, thank you for your interest in giving me a Harvard rejection letter. I have reviewed your letter and am impressed with your rejection reasons and other suggestions. However, after careful consideration, I have decided not to accept your rejection letter. Please understand that this is not a negative evaluation of your rejection letter, but rather a reflection of my unique choice criteria. I wish you every success in your future rejecting. I'll see you all on campus in August. Oh my God.
The Upstate is talking about Offsides with Mark Ryan now 3 to 7 p.m. on ESPN Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. South Carolina Upstate men's basketball has advanced to the second round of the Basketball Classic. They'll take on South Alabama tonight in Mobile. It's an 8 o'clock tip-off. South Carolina women's basketball has advanced to the Sweet 16. They'll take on the winner of tonight's North Carolina-Arizona matchup in the Greensboro Regional. The Sweet 16 matchup scheduled for this Friday. NHL Sunday, the Rangers shut out the Hurricanes 2-0. At Atlanta Motor Speedway on Sunday, William Byron captured the checkered flag in NASCAR's Cup Series race. The 24-year-old outlasted a race that saw 27 cars involved in wrecks, 11 cautions, and 46 lead changes with 20 different leaders. Ross Chastain ran second. Kurt Busch finished third. Next on the schedule, this coming Sunday's race at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. ESPN Upstate is your home for play-by-play of Fermi Paladin's basketball.
Rob, when you go down to Charleston, check out the oldest liquor store in America. I think I've been there, actually. I did a bourbon tasting there one year, if I recall correctly. The Tavern, I think that's it. Let me see. Let me look it up. Yes, I have been there, Stephen. I did a bourbon tasting there. Palmetto Distillery did a bourbon testing there one day. I just happened to be walking around downtown a day they were doing the bourbon testing, and tickets were like $15, but you got like 9 different bourbons to try. Very cool little place. Very cool little spot. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, both literally and metaphorically today, Diesel filling in for the great one, Lonzo, who's out on vacation today. He'll rejoin us on Monday. We got the OG Rob Brown Show lineup back together for a couple of days, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome, or I'm sorry, whichever is more appropriate.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sorry at all. Show's good. What do you want? What do you want? All this station does is win awards. One after the next, folks. Got a lot of stuff to get to in this hour of the show. We did a lot of college basketball talk back in the last hour. We'll pick that up later on in the show, but you guys know that there are very few things I enjoy more doing on the radio than crapping on Urban Meyer. It's a pastime, you know, it's a hobby. It's something I have great passion for. When a negative story comes out about Herb, and I don't do this for many things. You know, I've told you guys on the show before, I'm a skeptic, right? Somebody tells me a thing. My default reaction is not to immediately believe it. In fact, my default reaction is I don't believe it until you prove it true to me, right? Unless the story is just dropping a 2 on Herb, in which case it is automatically the truth. Like this one that came out from yahoosports.com. The headline, Urban Meyer's season with Jaguars was reportedly more toxic than anyone knew. Here's what this article says, and I'll give you the Rob Brown summary edition of it. Obviously, Urban's career at Jacksonville was bad. It was bad. It was not good. Got fired, didn't even make it out of his first season. But The Athletic put up an article from some insiders who were in and around Jacksonville during Urban's tenure there, if it can be called that included this passage, which I will read for you now. Meyer said he conducted a 6-month deep dive on the NFL that included interviews with his former Florida and Ohio State players, as well as a study of the salary cap break. The Jaguars, and by the way, this is as much to take down the Jags as it is Herb, okay? The Jags hired a guy, Diesel, who had to take classes on the National Football League and how to coach in it. Now, I'll tell you the truth.
At least it appeared that he wanted to be successful.
I guess. I'll tell you the truth. I got into this industry about 15 years ago with no clue what the hell I was doing, right? I don't think I've ever told this story on the air, so I'll give you the nuts and bolts edition. Diesel, I was driving home from college, flipping radio stations, looking for a song, when I came across a guy talking about college football on the radio. And I went, oh, that could be fun. So the next day, I drove to the radio station he worked at. And I walked in, and the secretary said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I have a meeting with the owner of the station." And she went, "Well, he doesn't have anything on his agenda today." And I said, "Oh, it must have gotten left off. I had a meeting with him." And she, and what probably should have and could have lost her job, said, "Okay, hang on a minute. I'll go get him." And out comes the owner of the station. And he says, "Who are you?" And I introduced myself. And he said, "Well, can I help you?" And I said, "Yes, I would like to be on the radio and talk sports." And he went, "Well, that's not really how it works." And I went, "Right, but that's what I want to do, and I'd like to do it. So, like, what can I do to make that happen?" And he said, "Well, turns out we actually do need a producer for our morning show. Do you have experience in radio?" And then, Diesel, I lied and said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah. It's been from a distance. It's been college studies, but yeah, I've been around it." I had not. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, come in the next couple of days. We'll train you up on how to produce the morning show. And then if you like it, and you're going to show up, we'll let you produce the morning show. See how it goes." I said, "Okay." So I showed up, started doing it. Took a crash course overnight, going to every website I could find. And this was back in the Netscape days. Google was around, but was not quite the search engine it is. Did a 2-day deep dive on how do I ... produce a radio show.
How to radio.
Yeah, basically crash course on how to radio. But see, there's a difference. I went in with no previous knowledge, got myself an entry-level job at a tiny station in a podunk town in the Florida Panhandle, which has then led me to what I believe to be one of the best sports talk radio stations in the country right here in the upstate of South Carolina a decade and a half later.
I don't have the sound effect, but I can do it.
That's fine. You nailed it. Herb, on the other hand, walked up, told the owner, I would like to be on the radio. And he went, sure, here's a nationally syndicated show on 165 stations across the Americas. Do a good job. Here's the back half of that passage. Multiple sources said Meyer was unfamiliar with star players around the league, including 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel, Seahawks safety Jamal Adams, and Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald, a 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Meyer asked one staffer during the season, quote, who's this 99 guy on the Rams? I'm hearing he might be a problem for us. That's Aaron Donald, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the one that just won the Super Bowl for the Rams by being a monster in the fourth quarter and knocking out Joey B? That guy. How in the world do you as a coach decide that you're going to jump into the deep end of the National Football League and not know the best defensive player maybe in history, right? Maybe in history. How do you not know? I have never applied to be an NFL head coach. I know who Aaron Donald is. Yeah? Like you'd have thought that perhaps, just maybe, perhaps if Urban Meyer had eyes on becoming an NFL head coach, he might, I don't know, watch an NFL game or two. That's really all you got to do to know who Aaron Donald is. They talk about him every game, right? This guy compares to Aaron Donald. Just what? Watch the game. Watch the game. But wait, he said in his best Billy Mays impersonation, there's more. For the price of that Urban Meyer story, I offer you a second one. The Athletic went on to say that there were players who knew from day one that Urban Meyer wasn't going to work out. The Athletic quoted DJ Chark as saying, quote, the way he was running the ship, it was impossible to succeed, end quote. They say, quote, one example of that came during the preseason. The day after a player on the Jaguars missed an assignment during a preseason game, Meyer stormed into a room where players had gathered and threatened to cut everyone if that happened again. That didn't go over well. That's literally the sentence they wrote. That didn't go over well. The story goes, Meyer walked into, according to 4 people in the room, and said, quote, do you know what would happen if I cut you guys? You couldn't get a job paying more than $15 an hour, end quote. The implication that his players were capable of little more than playing football left some angry, others offended. Quote, I lost all respect for him after that, end quote, a veteran player in the room said. Diesel, you don't walk into a room full of NFL players and say, if I, the rookie head coach who has not yet been on an NFL game as a coach, decide to cut you, you're all working at McDonald's next year. Because that's how you get every free agent on your team worth the damn to go, nah, you know what other NFL franchise sounds better than this? All of them.
You ever heard the acronym DBAA? Don't be
N.
A.
Like, yeah.
That's where he is. That's what Urban Meyer needs to hear that.
Oh, but we're not done, Diesel.
We
There's
never
more.
are.
There's more. From The Athletic, quote, another time during a meeting that also included members of the coaching and personnel staffs, Meyer berated a player so harshly that the player broke down in tears. According to 2 sources, Meyer slammed the door after departing the meeting, leaving others to console the player. The next day, one of the other staff members present confronted Meyer about the incident in what some described as a, quote, tense exchange, end quote. In November, after wide receiver John Brown signed with the team, he and quarterback Trevor Lawrence were on the field after practice so Brown could correct a wrong route he'd run earlier. Meyer reportedly used that as an opportunity to insult Brown's intelligence based on where he's from. Quote, "Hey, Trevor, you've got to slow it down for him. These boys from the South, their transcripts ain't right," end quote.
Oh,
man.
Hilarious, but harsh.
Which is hilarious because, John Brown, NFL wide receiver, is from the South. Do you know who else is from the South?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor freaking Lawrence is from the South. So to insult the wide receiver by saying he's from the South, he a dumb. He also told Trevor Lawrence, "You're dumb." It's amazing. Amazing. I love this story. According to The Athletic, Meyer also berated, belittled, and threatened coaches in front of players and behind closed doors. DJ Chark said, quote, "He feels like threats are what motivates. I know he would come up to us and tell us if the receivers weren't doing well. He wasn't going to fire us. He was going to fire our coach. He would usually say that when the coach was around," end quote. Another veteran member of the football operations staff in Jacksonville told The Athletic, quote, the most toxic environment I've ever been a part of, by far, not even close. But wait, there's more. It just keeps going.
It's like the MCU. It's never done.
It's never done. We move on to phase 4 of the Urban Meyer boat stain that he is. They write, Meyer also had a habit of pushing blame for on-field issues on everyone but himself. Marvin Jones, a wide receiver, was enraged to the point of leaving the Jags facility when Meyer told reporters that the receivers had been running the wrong route. Jones confronted Meyer about it, which reportedly led to Meyer to meet with players about the comment, and Meyer's attitude in those meetings only made things worse. Via The Athletic, quote, "Once again, Meyer met with players and denied he made the comment about the receivers, even though, according to a source, a player in the room had video of the quote from Meyer pulled up on his phone."
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. I didn't say it. I don't know what this guy in the video is, but it wasn't me. It doesn't sound like something I would say.
The rare and very ineffective Shaggy defense. It wasn't me, but she caught me on camera. Wasn't me. Saying the things I'm quoted as saying. It wasn't me. Coach, it's right here on video. It wasn't me. It's word for word. Wasn't me. Beautiful. Then Robinson was asked about what was going on. Here's what The Athletic said, quote, "Behind the scenes, the Robinson situation was even more divisive. After the game, Meyer told reporters he wasn't aware of Robinson's extended absence and put the benching on Robinson's position coach, Bernie Parmalee. Meyer said, quote, "You'd have to ask Bernie. I don't get too involved. I don't micromanage that." In a staff meeting the next morning, according to multiple sources, Meyer denied ever telling his coaches to bench Robinson. He said his assistants had misinterpreted him, end quote.
Does it feel like Urban Meyer should have gotten out of coaching once everyone had cell phone cameras? When you didn't have evidence that you couldn't deny, well, let me rephrase that. When you didn't have evidence that nobody else but you would deny, when you could just say, "I'm the man and everything here that I say is gospel."
Yeah. Urban Meyer
That would have been the time to get out.
If Urban Meyer coached in the 60s and 70s, he would have been a god, right? Because in the 60s and 70s, you could be a complete butthole to every person in the building. But if you had an 80% winning percentage, everybody just ignored it and built statues of you, right? Like I remember, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Junction Boys. Junction Boys was about when Paul Bear Bryant coached Texas A&M before he moved to Alabama. And it was told from the point of view of all the players. And this was where, Paul Bear Bryant had them doing 2 days in 110-degree weather out in the plains of Texas. And water was viewed as for the weak. You weren't allowed to have water. And if you passed out from the heat, you were off the team, right? Stuff like that. Guy was an absolute psychopath in his coaching methods, but he won all his games. And so everybody just kind of moves on like, Well, that was okay, right? They won. Hell, even some of the players, and what I am not a therapist and am in no way, shape, or form do I have the authority to diagnose anything. You ever heard of Munchausen syndrome? You know what that is? Or no, sorry, Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it's where you start to love your captor.
Yeah. Like, I'm at the point where I believe some of the guys in that movie had straight up Stockholm syndrome about Paul Bear Bryant, right? Because what they were describing was happening to them as college football players would be a war crime if they were in war. Genuinely, it would have been a Geneva Convention war crime. But all the players were like, well, you know, we knew he loved us. Yeah, he almost killed us, but he loved us, and we know it. That's the point in time where Urban Meyer would have gone down as a legend in college football. But by the way, Diesel, I'm surprised neither you nor I have referenced this yet. All of this happened after Herb got busted on that yacht with his fat buddy in the background ripping bong rips live on the Big Ten Network. You remember that?
Oh, I love that video. No, get out of the camera.
Herb's live on, I believe it was the Big Ten Network. After he left Ohio State, it was after I moved here. So it was inside of 2 years ago. And they're like, well, coach, you know, and Herb is clearly blazed out of his gourd. He's got the stoner sleepy eyes. You know what I'm talking about? And he's on the camera. And the guys are asking him a question. And he thinks they're going back to the studio. And there's this guy in the reflection on the TV behind him, big beer belly guy. And I'm not making fun of that because also me. But big beer belly guy walks in and he's holding something. And Herb's like, no, move. And then you hear... I can't do the pot sound as good as Diesel does, but you get the point. There it is. And then Herb just
It's not a pretty sound effect to make. You don't look good making that sound effect.
I'm really glad that's on the stream. Keegan, if you're still in here, I need you to gift that for me. There it is. Herb's like, stop. Like, what? In what world does anybody want Urban Meyer in charge of their football broadcast? Like, in what world? Unbelievable. I love that. It's like Christmas morning when I wake up and ESPN and Yahoo Sports both have a Urban Meyer sucks website at the top of their list.
Why is Urban Meyer not the exclusive sports analyst for Fox News or OAN? He would crush it on those stations.
Him and Mike Gundy doing a studio show together would be just money making.
That's the man show that we all wanted. We didn't ask for, but we all wanted it.
Do you know what would happen if I cut you, NFL players? You couldn't get a job paying more than $15 an hour. Big talk from a guy who was unemployed 3 weeks later. Nice. Well done, Herb. Well done. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, I found the greatest NFL stat and info compilation website I've ever stumbled across. And it has nothing to do with on-the-field accomplishments. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm going to share it with you, and we're going to dig up some dirt on your favorite NFL team for fun. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
See site for official rules. 21 years of age, Golden Lake, Arizona, Colorado, DC, Iowa, Illinois.
Thanks for hanging out on the stream with us, y'all. Good to see everybody. Well, be seen by everybody, I guess.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if the prescription is appropriate. Restrictions
It was wild to see how many people left for the second game. How did they do that? Was it like if you bought a ticket, you had to buy a ticket for both games, and then if
Yeah, they ran
you
a
could
night
maybe
game.
try to sell your second game ticket?
You could not sell individual games. You had to, so you bought a ticket to sessions. So like Friday, you bought 2 sessions, the first 2 games, and then there was like a 1 hour break, and then the second 2 games. And then yesterday, you bought a ticket to both games.
Oh,
And so
a lot of the
like,
Duke fans,
after-
Michigan State fans left.
after Duke beat Michigan State, a lot of Michigan State fans left. So there was a good chunk of, not good. I'd still say it was 85% full
Yeah.
for the second game, but a lot of Michigan State fans left.
The arena looked great on TV, though.
Yeah, it did.
Great.
The only problem they had, and this was, I got told this was happening at basically any arena that's not in a major city,
Yeah.
was that on Friday between the 2 games, you had to leave the stadium. And they set up this really big like party area on the outside concourse, which is cool. They had huge generators
Yeah.
running a big screen to watch the other games, whatever. But they had to clean the arena, like down to like scrub the arena like they would after the game was over. And it took them so long that there were a ton of Duke fans who did not get into the arena until halftime of the Duke game.
Oh,
There was one guy tweeting me pictures of a line that was still 1,000 people long with like 4 minutes left to go in the Duke first half. So there were some Duke fans who bought tickets who did not get to see the first half of their game.
that sucks.
Yeah. But that's an NCAA, from what the arena was telling me,
Yeah.
that's an NCAA
Well,
protocol.
I also heard they had issues with the paint on the floor or the moisture on the floor, which is from, I guess, the ice still underneath.
That was what a lot of people were asking about. But I walked onto the floor between sessions and after the second game, and it didn't feel like I was in boots,
Right.
but it didn't feel like it wasn't tacky as any basketball court I've ever been on in the past. So I don't know how much validity there is to that. But there were absolutely a lot of guys that were hitting the deck hard.
Here we go.
Rolling on the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. Join us on the Facebook stream, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can also get at us on the Twitter at twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, or go to YouTube and search The Rob Brown Show. Once you do, you can find my channel, like and subscribe to it. You can watch all of the show live right there on YouTube. Diesel, even fresh shaved for this one, trimmed up the beard this morning just because he knew he was going to be on your TV, ladies and gentlemen, because we care. Because we care about you, the Upstate listener. Thank you so much. The greatest NFL website I have ever found, and I had so much fun with this morning. You know, every year it seems like there is another accusation against an NFL team about that team cheating. Well, this morning, Diesel, I stumbled across a website called yourteamcheats.com. And yourteamcheats.com has basically compiled every instance of cheating in the NFL and broken it down team by team. So you can click on any individual NFL team and see every time that team has cheated throughout its history. For instance, Diesel, pick an NFL team, any NFL team.
How about the Cleveland Browns?
The Cleveland Browns, ladies and gentlemen. According to yourteamcheats.com, the Cleveland Browns have been caught guilty 20 times in their existence. 20 times they've been busted cheating. And then they break them out cheating by cheating. Back in 1998, the NFL fined the Browns and their president, Carmen Policy, $10,000 for comments that said that the league said violated tampering rules. Starting in 2007, there have been 4 different players that have been busted using PEDs while members of the Browns. Back in 2014, Browns GM Ray Farmer was suspended without pay for the first 4 games of the 2015 season for sending text messages about play selection and personnel usage to their sideline during games during the season. He was also fined $250,000. Back in, Tampergate is going on right now. The Browns have been accused of tampering no less than 3 times in their existence so far. There was Headset Gate. There was Spygate, in which the Browns were wrapped up in that and others. The Browns, one of the teams that has been caught cheating the fewest amount of times in the National Football League. Pick another one, Diesel. Any team you want.
Let's go with the Atlanta Falcons.
The ATL Falcons out of the NFC South. 30 times they have been caught cheating. YourTeamCheats.com awards them a cheat score of 30 and labels them an average NFL cheater. An average. The biggest one, obviously, goes back to 2013-14. They earned a 5 illegal camcorder rating from YourTeamCheats.com for Noisegate. I don't know if you remember this one. It was a long time ago, of like 8 years. But in 2014, Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank admitted that the Falcons pumped in artificial crowd noise to the Georgia Dome. Blank said that he had seen enough in the NFL's investigation and told the AP, it's not really a fine line. I think what we've done in 13 and 14 was wrong. Anything that affects the competitive balance and fairness on the field, we're opposed to. Were they punished for that? Yes, they got a $350,000 fine, lost their 5th-round draft pick in the 2016 draft, and there was a suspension of team president Rich McKay for 3 months. They have also been caught 7 times with players using performance-enhancing drugs. They were involved in cell phone gate back in 2005 when Jim Mora was fined $25,000 for using a cell phone during a game against the Buccaneers. When the Falcons and Bucks were tied 24 apiece in overtime on December 24th, 2005, Mora knew Dallas had won at Carolina and that the Washington football team was leading the Giants by 15 points. Victories by the boys and the Washington football team earlier that day would mean that an Atlanta loss would eliminate the Falcons from the NFC playoff race, but Moore was unsure if they could remain in contention by tying Tampa Bay. So he grabbed his cell phone and contacted team officials to seek clarification on Atlanta's status and determine how a tie would impact Atlanta's playoff chances to decide if he wanted to go for a tie or a win. It violated a rule adopted the year before, stating cell phones and other forms of communication not sanctioned by the league were banned on the field during games. They were caught up in practice gate, it's labeled, when they ran any legal practice and forfeited 3 days of OTAs in 2017 for violating work rules prohibiting excessive contact in off-season workouts. There was Tampergate and others that the Falcons were involved in as well. The point is, every NFL team is dirty. Every NFL team has done something that has cost them because of a blatant violation of the rules. And I just want to give props and respect to whoever it is that is running this website, yourteamcheats.com, for giving other fans the ammunition to stop hearing, well, your team cheated. And so did yours. And according to this website, it's between 17 and 48 times. Do you want to take a stab, Diesel? Which team throughout their NFL history has been found guilty of the most cheating violations?
I'm going to guess and say it's the New England Patriots.
That would be the guess of a lot of people. That is incorrect. They are actually right in the middle of the pack with 27. The most cheatingest team, according to yourteamcheats.com, in the National Football League is the Indianapolis Colts with 48 violations of league rules in their history. 48. They lead the league. Some of the other league leaders behind them, 35 for the Ravens. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. It is not the 48 of the Indianapolis Colts. It is the 53 of the Denver Broncos. 53 times the Broncos have been busted violating NFL rules. Now, I will throw out there the caveat that every individual PED test counts as one cheat, but the Broncos have 12 of them, including Peyton Manning at one point, who was found using HGH, although he and his medical team declared that it was prescribed to him by a doctor after a surgery in order to heal up. So that one is a pending cheat. 53 for the Denver Broncos. Anyway, if you want to have some fun with that, yourteamcheats.com, because I did.
If you are one of those weak individuals that do the yes and or yeah but arguments whenever somebody says anything about somebody that you like, that you don't like, this is your mecca. This is the place you go. When somebody says flat out, your person or your team or your school did this, and you don't say, yeah, we did that. That was pretty bad. If your first response is, yeah, but your team did that, go to this website. It is where you will get all of your cannon fodder.
It is the they call it the old whataboutism, right? The old
Yeah.
what about defense, where you did this. Yeah, well, what about this guy who did this other thing? Yeah, well, we're not talking about that right now. And that's why I now am in love with the website yourteamcheats.com. What an unbelievable resource for those of you that like taking our friends down a peg or 12. Good stuff. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. When we do, South Carolina men's basketball coaching search is on. They had a big name that they were pursuing last week, but that name's out of the mix. So who's up next? I'll tell you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
This song hurts my brain because it's Crazy Train, but it's not Crazy Train. And it messes with my head.
There is also one in there that is Black Betty. And it's like, I can't even do it, but it's like, it's almost close except for like 3 little notes at the end that just completely wreck it.
As South Carolina's most preferred orthopedic provider and official team doctors for the Gamecocks and Tigers, Prisma Health provides all the care you need. With more expertise, more technology, and more locations closer to you, we're doing even more to help you be your healthiest man. Prisma Health, the orthopedic experts.
My favorite thing about the Upstate is the pride I sense in each of you here from here. It's evident in all you do. Since 1916, Smith & James Men's Clothing has been an Upstate staple. They are the fabric of the community, literally. And Smith & James thrives because they succeed at their mission to make you look your best. Believe me, if they can make me look good, they can do it for anybody. I'm the before picture. Visit Smith & James at 222 Trent Street in Greer or at their new location on Verde Boulevard in Greenville. And visit them online at smithandjames.com.
No one wants to cut corners on a good night's rest, so I sleep on sheets that are just good enough. If you dream of comfortable sheets that ties the home to you up all night, look no further than Bold & Branch. Bold & Branch makes the softest organic sheets on the market using 100% sustainable raw materials. As the first fair trade certified manufacturer of linen, you can feel as good about your sheets as they feel against your skin. Plus,
Keegan asked if you're doing both shows this week.
No, Keegan, I am on with Rob today and tomorrow. I will bleed over 1 hour into offsides, and then starting Wednesday, I will be back on normal schedule with Mark. Somebody else will be producing with Rob. It's just all about availability of producers.
Listen, my bracket is not destroyed. It's not great, but it's not destroyed. I think I've got 9 of my Sweet 16 still standing. My bracket's not okay. It's again, it's not great shape. I'm not awful. And unlike a lot of people, I'm a national champion still dancing, so at least I got that going for me, which is nice.
Every team is one conversation away from a trade that can make all the difference. The same is true for your business. That's why
Have you noticed how our new company email, you can't put in numbers? Like if you wanted to do a bulleted list or a numbered list, you can't do it. Yeah, regular Gmail you can, but on Odyssey's Gmail you can't.
I don't know that I've ever actually.
Yeah, it makes sending lists very hard.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio, ESPN Upstate. I'm Rob Diesel, filling in for the great one, Lonzo, today. He's out on vacation. He'll rejoin us on Monday. So we've been keeping an eye on the South Carolina men's basketball head coaching search because there have been some names that have been thrown out there. There have been some names that have been discussed. There were some names that were in and now are out. Former Arizona head coach Sean Miller. Apparently, the Gamecocks made a heavy push to try to get Sean Miller into that position, but Miller ultimately decided to choose Xavier. Went to the X over the SC. According to reports, the Gamecocks were very aggressive in their pursuit of Miller, but Miller ultimately turned them down. National college basketball writer Matt Norlander reported that. Cleveland State's Dennis Gates was another name that had been mentioned as a possibility for South Carolina, but it came out yesterday that he is close to a deal to become Missouri's new coach. So now South Carolina finds themselves in a spot where there's a big old fat question mark about who's going to be holding the clipboard on the sideline for the men's games next year. Here are some of the names.
Does this not feel exactly the way they handled the football coaching hire?
It doesn't not feel like that.
Yeah, it feels like they're what's the old proverbial phrase? Screwing the pooch with the basketball hire in the exact same way that they screwed the pooch with the way they handled the football hire. Now the jury's out as to whether or not Shane Beamer is the guy. Sure. I'm just talking about the process, not the result.
Yeah, it's here's the difference, I think. There is some level of attraction to the South Carolina football job, right? Because if nothing,
really?
Yeah, there is. Because if nothing else, you're at a mid-tier school in the Southeastern Conference. You're going to be on TV. You're going to get talked about. You're going to get recognized. And if you have any level of success there, you're going to get
win.
Right.
You're not getting any of that stuff if you're not winning.
You're also getting more money to play with, right? SEC Network puts more money into the pot than you're going to get if you go coach at, I don't know, Hawaii. There's resources.
There's some perks to coaching in Hawaii, though.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Please saddle me with that job for a couple of years.
Yeah. The situation here is that South Carolina has a basketball program, and this is not as an insult, it's just analysis. It's not very attractive right now, right? Like, what's the attraction? The Southeastern Conference, according to this tournament, and I don't agree with this take, though I've heard it. The Southeastern Conference is a moderately respectable basketball conference, right? You said what, 5 teams? You got 1 left. After 2 rounds, you got Arkansas left. That's it. Auburn, your regular season champ, got curb stomped last night by Miami. So you don't even have the conference boost coming your way. And even if you did, you're a 500 ball club within a mediocre conference or slightly above mediocre conference. A guy like Sean Miller, drama and baggage aside, what's the appeal of coming there over playing at Xavier or over coaching at Xavier? A school that's got recent tournament success, a school that effectively is only a basketball school, right? This is one of the disadvantages of being in the SEC is that with the exception of Kentucky, you're a football school, right? Are there any other schools in the SEC outside of Kentucky that we'd say are a basketball school?
20 years ago, you could have said Missouri.
Yeah, maybe. But they weren't in the SEC 20 years ago.
Correct.
So who today, right? There isn't one. It's Kentucky. That's it.
Even when Florida was great at basketball, they were still a football
They're still
school.
a football school. They had a great run, but they were still a football school. Last school to go back-to-back with basketball championships, and it stays that way for 1 more year as Baylor got bounced. It's not a super attractive job. So what names are out there? Well, the one that seems to be the most attractive right now or have the most momentum behind it is former Gamecock great and current Wake Forest assistant coach, B.J. McKee, who is at Wake Forest at this point in time. He has been an assistant at 3 different spots, Charleston Southern, East Tennessee State, and Wake Forest. No head coaching experience, but neither did Shane Beamer. And people are still excited about that. Matt McMahon is one of the hottest names on the coaching carousel this year after Murray State has gone to its 3rd NCAA tournament in 5 years. He's a Tennessee native with ties to the Carolinas after spending time at North Carolina Wilmington and Appalachian State as an assistant coach. He also played his college ball at Appy State, so he knows the Carolinas. That's a good draw.
That name hurts my heart because it began the downward spiral, the decade-and-a-half-long downward spiral of App State basketball. He wanted the job.
Yeah.
He wanted the job in Boone, but our athletic director hired a Capel because he's got a good name. And this is why I caution South Carolina fans, and we've heard it for weeks. We heard it with the football program. We're hearing it now with the basketball program. We got to hire somebody with a big name. We got to go get a big name. No, you don't. You got to get somebody who can coach basketball. Stop going after somebody with a big name just for big name's sake. Got these people who say, oh, if we don't have a coach with a big name, we're never going to get the G.G. Allens of the world. We're never going to get the blue chips. You know how you get those blue chips? You win basketball games. That's how you do it. Okay? Stop going after a big name just because it makes you feel good. Please.
Who's the big name here on this list that's still available? Because Sean Miller was the big name.
Probably Matt McMahon.
I think you're right.
And really, Matt McMahon is a rising star. Matt McMahon is the type of coach that South Carolina should be going after because he's a rising star that you can still get before you lose him to the likes of Kansas and Kentucky and North Carolina and schools like that. Bob Ritchie is a rising star who, if you pass on him, you will lose him to bigger and better basketball programs.
Bob Ritchie has won 71.7% of his games since taking over Furman back in 2017. He has 4 21 seasons. They knocked off the defending champs Villanova back in 2018. He was an assistant at Charleston Southern for more than half a decade, so he spans the state in terms of having a pipeline there. And, of course, remember, if it wasn't for David Jean-Baptiste miracle shot ringing in the SoCon championship final this year, Furman's dancing. And not only is Furman dancing, but remember, Chattanooga went into this tournament with no expectations and were an oops away from knocking off the Illini out of the Big Ten. You don't think if Furman gets that draw? I mean, it's a tough matchup because Kofi Coburn is a monster for the Illini. But Chattanooga had them beat. Well, they go 40 points in the first 16 minutes of play, or first 11 minutes of play, and then they had like in the last 20 minutes of play, they had like 8 points, right? They are a missed field goal away from knocking off the Illini of Illinois. If the Nugs could do it, Bob Ritchie's Furman Paladins could have won a game in that tournament, no doubt. No doubt. So I agree with what Diesel's saying here, yeah? I agree with what Diesel is saying here.
Gotcha. Thanks.
There are some up-and-comers. There are some rising stars. There are some young coaches on this list. Bob Ritchie's on that list. Hell, Lamont Paris from Chattanooga is in the dance this year.
Clemson
He's
fans
on
better
that
be
list.
praying that South Carolina is dumb enough to pass on Bob Ritchie. Because Clemson would be idiotic if they don't go ahead and get that barely over 500 coach, Brad Brunell, out of Pickens County. I don't understand why Clemson fans and South Carolina fans defend these coaches that win at a 550 clip so hard. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand you. I don't understand you people.
From what I understand, I've only been here a couple of years. I'm still getting used to the scene. But a lot of it is Brownell's a Clemson guy, and he's a nice guy. I got to tell you, if that's your qualifications, great. Hang on to him.
You know what that means to me?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I promise you, I've watched guys in this industry who were incredible human beings get canned in a week because everything about their show tanked. It happens. It's an ugly world, man. It's an ugly world. I get that you like him. I get that he's your guy. But again, how many more times you want to go 500 and try to make the NIT, right? If you're South Carolina, you go get a young guy. You get a guy that's had success at a slightly lower level, like Bob Ritchie, like Lamont Paris, and you bring him up and you grow. And if it doesn't work out in 3 or 4 years, you're in the same place, right? You're not going to get worse off for it. But if you throw all your eggs into the Sean Miller basket and you get turned down and you get turned down and you get turned down, these guys like Ritchie and Paris and McMahon, they're going to get snapped up by other schools. And you're going to be out in the cold bringing in another former was the guy to not be the guy. Why would you want to go through that again? Quick break. We wrap up hour number 2 after this. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. This is ESPN Upstate.
Second cheatingest team in the NFL.
Yeah, Keegan, thank you for that. I just got your text. Good call. And also to answer your other question, no, and you are good, and I appreciate it, sir. Diesel, my guy Keegan flew back from his honeymoon in Jamaica. Bought a ticket last minute to go watch Auburn play last night. And that's what they put on the floor.
Is Keegan an Auburn grad?
He's an Auburn guy, yeah.
I agree. I had an Auburn hat as a kid for no other reason than I liked the hat. Like my dad was not a big college football fan. So like I didn't grow up with being indoctrinated into a team.
In the folder on there should be, I don't know if you can find it. If you can, it's not the end of the world, but we have a breaking news sounder.
Yep.
I don't know what it's called or where it is.
Got
it. If you would do me a favor and when we come back, hit that. Like you can roll the music and then hit that and drop the music out.
got it.
Since we do indeed have breaking news.
I was playing yesterday with a new golf bag, man. It's like it's tough, like losing things in a bag when you don't know where the hell things are, where they go, where it was. Why is it not where it used to be in my old bag? Why is it not exactly like my old bag? But those greens over there were hard as a rock with as much rain as we've gotten.
Yeah.
And then it just drying out. Hard as a rock. Like I put one on the green on I think it's like number 12. There's a par 5 that's like a really narrow par 5 that slopes down into a big gully, a big swamp on the left. But there's a par 3 right after it where you have to, especially if you're teeing off from like the whites, the blues, or the blacks, you're teeing off over the pond. But I dropped one right on the green with an 8-iron and not a single divot. You know, I mean, like that ball came down from a height and nothing.
I think the greens were questionable there when last time I played there with you.
Yeah,
they just aerated them and the holes were still in it.
Yeah, I remember there was one. It was another par 3 that like the back third of the green was like dead and like sunken in, and they'd put like fresh sod on it to fill it in, but it hadn't taken yet. Or they hadn't filled in all the cracks and crevices around it. But yeah, it's a fun course. It feels nicer and it feels like it should be more expensive than it is. I want to get a like a push cart and just play 9 at Legacy Pines some days in the mornings when I've got when I've got time, you know, just like wake up early, just walk 9 at like, you know, like 8:30 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Our recent, or I guess I should say our upcoming life changes.
I don't think we're coming back here. We're not coming back. It's 1:59:32.
Oh crap!
Yeah, we're not coming back.
That's fine. You're just gonna go straight to the break.
Go straight to legal, yeah. But I will grab that sounder and play it on the back side.
It's coming straight out of the intro. Is fine.
Missed that one. They changed the system to where the button bar actually plays. Like, I don't know. I can't tell if it has to go over the air because nothing else is potted up. So I think that sound effect was one over the air.
Okay.
Like it used to be you had to manually drop it into the stack to make it play. But a lot of shows like it where this button bar is just like button activated, you know? So this is better. It's just gotta get used to it again. This was interesting. You can hear his voice. Like he's got an issue with this particular player.
Transferred from Kansas. Is there a particular reason why Furman can't take on a guy like that, or you know, does not dip into the transfer portal as much? Is it entirely academically related?
Journalists or media or people around it, they're always searching for the best one way. And the longer I do it,
If you listen to the uncut, like it sounds like he went after that guy and lost him somehow,
Yeah.
and is still not over it. So I'm just uploading this with the same kind of nomenclature that Lonzo does.
That's fine.
Titling this one, Urban Meyer is not a good dude. So just play the glass break sounder.
Yep.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news right here on the Rob Brown Show. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit betql.com today. Check out BetQL and join us tomorrow. Joe Giglio will join us on the show tomorrow at 1:30. We'll give you our Sweet 16 betting guide. Joe and I had some hits. My bracket sucked, but my gambling picks were good. We'll be joined by Joe tomorrow. It is official, ladies and gentlemen. After 14 seasons as a starting quarterback for your Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan is no mas. He is gone. Atlanta traded Ryan today to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for a 2022 third-round pick. That, according to Adam Schefter and Diana Rossini. Conversations about Ryan's departure picked up at the start of the new league year when the Falcons quarterback was mentioned as a potential trade bait for Deshaun Watson. The Falcons ended up going all in on acquiring Deshaun Watson. It did not happen. So rumors picked up yesterday in Atlanta that after the Falcons failed to get Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan went then said, hey, I would like a bag full of money to stay here, please. You will pay me now. I would have taken a hometown discount, but you guys decided you wanted to go all in on Deshaun while I was still here. Granted, I'm 36 years old, but I would like to get paid now, please, and thank you very much. And the Falcons either can't or don't want to. One or the other. So the Falcons are sending Matty Ice baby, Matt Ryan, not Ryan, up to Indianapolis to be the starting quarterback for the Colts, who, of course, recently sent Carson Wentz from Indy back out to the East Coast. Here's my question. You're Atlanta. What do you do right now? What do you do right now? Who's the play?
Sam Darnold's always available.
Carolina wishes Atlanta would make that trade, right? Wishes they do. I think a name you're going to hear him play for him today. And this is going to, I think this genuinely accelerates the quarterback trade market, right? Because there's not much in the way of quarterbacks that are still left out there. Still not a ton out there to deal with. But this is a catalyst for the guys that are still left. Here are the guys that are out there right now. Baker Mayfield is available. Jimmy Garoppolo is available. Jameis Winston is available. Sam Darnold is available. And, of course, you got the draft guys out there, right? You got the draft guys, which makes it interesting. I believe, though I could be incorrect, I'm incorrect like at least once a week. I believe that Jameis Winston ends up back in New Orleans. I'm relatively convinced that Jameis Winston is a Saint again next year. I think the chemistry was there. Jameis was performing relatively well for the Saints before his ACL popped. So I think he ends up there. But I'd be interested to see if the Falcons make a play for Jameis Winston. And why wouldn't you, right? If you're Atlanta, you got to make the play. He performed well. He's a younger cat, right? He's going to be inexpensive. And if you do get into a bidding war, best case, you end up with the guy. Worst case, you drive up his cost for the Saints, who I think are the spot he ends up landing with. Atlanta has lost its WR1, Calvin Ridley. He is, of course, suspended. Russell Gage is now a Buccaneer via free agency. And there are other question marks. So Matt Ryan, not Ryan, has got to find out where he is going to go. This is a problem for the Carolina Panthers, I think, because I think the Atlanta Falcons are looking quarterback too, and they've got the capital to move around for the guy they want, right? They've got the capital to move around for the guy they want. Malik Willis is the number 1 ranked quarterback by Todd McShay's rankings in the draft. I thought there was potential for the Falcons to draft a quarterback, whether Matt Ryan, not Ryan, was there or not, right? Give him a year to learn under a guy who puts up 4,000-yard seasons consistently. I thought that was the direction that they might end up going. But I was looking earlier today across the ESPN website, and Bill Barnwell, I think his name was, put up an article where he listed out who he thought the best fit of the remaining veteran quarterbacks would be. You know who he's got Atlanta starting at quarterback next year? Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota said it's a possibility there, unless they decide to go ahead and throw Malik Willis into the mix immediately. Remember, Mariota was benched for Ryan Tannehill. Of course, Tannehill has been a comeback player of the year candidate in Tennessee. Marcus Mariota is now without a team, so he could be in the mix. I think they make a play for Jameis. If they get him, great. If they do not, you drive up the price for the Saints and you go draft a guy. But now all of a sudden, the competition for drafting quarterbacks just got a little stiffer, right? Because Atlanta needs one. Indy's out. But Atlanta needs one, and they've got a better setup. It's a real possibility. Texter says, with Deshaun Watson making $1 million next year, I wonder if the Browns keep Baker till Watson can play and then trade him. Absolutely not. Baker doesn't want to be there. Reports out right now that Baker is basically going to hold out. He's going to sit out. No OTAs, no spring camp, no nothing. He will sit out rather than put on the Browns helmet. And please, let one Deshaun Watson fan say that Baker Mayfield's a bad team out for sitting out this year. Just one. Want one Deshaun fan to tell me that Baker is selfish for sitting out this year. I'm begging you. Please do it. Please say it. Anyway, the Browns have to trade Deshaun. Here's the other fun part. I didn't know this until this morning, Diesel. Do you know as of right this second, Deshaun Watson is not a Cleveland Brown? He's not a Cleveland Brown because the Cleveland Browns are shy $18-ish million of being able to sign Deshaun to the contract that he agreed to. They have to clear $18 million off the books to get him on. Do you know how they clear $18 million off the books? By trading Baker. If they trade Baker, they can sign Deshaun, which means they have to trade Baker Mayfield. Which means that somebody is going to get Baker Mayfield for a steal. Somebody is going to steal him from Cleveland.
Is it really a steal, though, if it's Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I put Baker in the same camp that I put Atlanta. A lot of people want to put the blame on Baker. Oh, he had Jarvis Landry coming to. Yo, he took a one-win Browns team to what? 2 games away from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Took a one-win Browns team to the playoffs. And I look at Bake in a similar situation to what Joey B was in last year. You put him behind an offensive line that should be sent to jail for endangering the life of a quarterback. Bake's been good. Not great, but good. I am curious to see what Baker could do on a good team. What could Baker look like on a good team? And I don't know I don't know where Baker Mayfield ends up next year. I don't know where Baker plays next year. But man, I hope we get to see it. I genuinely hope we get to see it. Will Barnwell had Baker Mayfield going to Seattle to take Russ's spot. I really don't hate that. Baker's got a similar game to Russ. That could be an interesting fit. It's a good scheme. He ran a similar offense under Stefanski that he won under Kubiak and Shanahan. Excuse me, under Pete Carroll, but a Kubiak and Shanahan style offense. I like that fit. And not only do you pair him with a decent offensive line, but he's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant to throw the ball to. I got to tell you, if you gave me DK Metcalf, I could go for 100 yards in an NFL game. The old meme of blanket DK down there somewhere.
You could also look at the Arizona Cardinals. Should Kyler move on from Arizona? I know the boy ain't happy. I know he wants to go somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be.
I don't know, man. By the way.
But if you're looking for where his style of play might fit in, that's what I'm saying.
We just got a notice on Facebook, Diesel, that we have a gentleman listening to us via atmospheric anomalies in Finland right now.
Skull.
Let's see. WYR listener in Europe. His name is, and if you are still listening, I apologize for butchering your name. You want to take a shot at that at the top of the page? Jorma? Jorma? Jorma.
Jorma?
Montila? I'm sure I'm butchering that, but I appreciate it. Anyway, he said, greetings from Finland. I have been listening to your station, WYRD ESPN Upstate. And then he gives us the signal strength and all that. He said he ID'd it via one of our promos and sent us the MP3 file of what he heard.
Sweet.
It's awesome. We got recorded in Kangasala, Finland. I like it. That makes us, Diesel, by definition, international superstars. International superstars are the D-Train and I.
When Rob in the past has just been an international harvester.
I'm an international harvester. You don't think I know that song, but I do.
No, I completely believe that you know that song. I've seen you in your cowboy hat.
And I look good. Damn good. Damn good. Finally, what do the Panthers do here now? They struck out on Matt Stafford. They struck out on Russ Wilson. They struck out on Sam Darnold, frankly. They struck out on Deshaun Watson. Matt Rule's got to be desperate, right? So where does it go? You ready for the name that I think gives you? I thought about this a lot when Deshaun got traded. I thought, all right, where do the Panthers go from here? Right? I'm sitting at the tournament when Deshaun gets traded. DJ Moore gets his contract extension of 3 years over the weekend. If you missed that, follow our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Make sure you follow the webpage at ESPNUpstate.com as we put Panther breaking news up there. And they get Johnny Hecker, the punter out of LA. That's a big pickup too. Guy's got game. So I thought, all right, where do they go? What's the next step, right? Like, what's the logical next step for the Carolina Panthers at quarterback? Here's a name I really want to see the Panthers pursue. How about Jordan Love? How about the guy the Pack brought in to be the backup behind Aaron Rodgers, who we really haven't seen a whole heck of a lot out of? Why not go get Jordan Love, right? The Packers believed there was enough to him at the time to effectively spin Aaron Rodgers' head sideways with rage and anger for drafting a QB instead of another wide receiver, which, by the way, how's that working out now that Devontae is a Raider and Aaron Rodgers is throwing to equipment managers on Sundays this year?
It's almost as if having one player eat up 24.5% of your team's salary cap is not a good idea and doesn't make it very easy to win games.
Yeah, they wanted to franchise tag Devontae because they were out of money to do anything else. And Devontae said, nope, I'm all right. Headed out to Vegas. Appreciate you. So now Aaron Rodgers has got ball boys running routes for him on Sundays because that's all they've got left in the wide receiver room. How about Jordan Love? Get him out of Green Bay, right? They clearly are not going to. They got it Rodgers for what? 3 more years, I believe, at least. Why not go get Jordan Love, the guy that the Packers believed in enough to bring him in to replace Aaron Rodgers, right? Same team that brought in Aaron Rodgers to replace Brett Favre. That worked out okay. Why not trust him a little bit? Go get Jordan Love. Put him in the mix. I think he gives you a guy that you can, to some degree, know has learned something from the previous quarterback. He's only thrown 62 passes this through his first 2 seasons. Still relatively new, but here's the thing. If I ask you to put your job on the line, which, by the way, Matt Rule has to do. If I ask you to put your job on the line and have one of these 4 guys, 5 guys, let's make it 5. One of these 5 guys has got to start for your team next year and your job's on the line. Who is it? Malik Willis from Liberty, Matt Corral from Ole Miss, Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, Sam Darnold, or Jordan Love? Who you putting under center? I'm going Jay Love, right? I'm going Jordan Love. I think that Pickett, Malik Willis will have good NFL careers. I think they both have good NFL careers, but I think Jordan Love is better than all of them. I really do. Mel Kiper said that too. A texter says Mel Kiper said Love is better than any quarterback in the draft. I bet that's correct. The more I think about it, the more that's the guy Carolina's got to make a play for. I don't know what resources you got to send to Green Bay to get him out of there, but I promise you, they don't want to pay him first-round pick money anymore when they know Rodgers is good for 3 more years. There's your play, Carolina. The book just wrote itself. Deshaun's out. The Saints are going to sign Jameis. Atlanta's in the mix. You better beat them there. That's your answer.
I put up a poll on Twitter at ESPN Upstate. If you are a Panthers fan, are you at all interested in Baker Mayfield, who the Browns will almost assuredly have to trade to make cap room for Deshaun Watson? Your choices are yes, no, and not no, but hell no. And so far in this young poll, 21 votes, 53% say yes.
Really?
33% say no, and 14% say not no, but hell no. And we got a response from at G Wood Addy. I don't know. So it's a tough one. I would like to be a Panthers fan, but given that they seem to go out of their way to not draft or acquire Clemson players, I'm out. Mediator Brad, which is his handle, they don't have to have a direct pipeline to the closest powerhouse school.
Yeah.
That's not really how the draft works.
Tough lesson to learn when you're a college fan learning the NFL is the NFL does not give a good gosh darn about the local schools. They care about getting the best players in there. They are not the Clemson. They are not the Carolina Tigers.
This is not
the Carolina Gamecocks.
It's not recruiting like college programs tend to recruit a lot of local guys.
Yeah. It's real simple. I'm like that too, right? I don't care about college affiliations in the NFL. If my quarterback is from my worst rival in college, but he's throwing 40 touchdowns a year for my NFL team, hell yeah, I'll buy his jersey.
Speaking of which, I got a big problem with you fair weather fans who will just go to wherever team, who will just move your fandom to whatever team signed your college's quarterback. Come on, that is soft. That is soft. I'm a Browns fan now. Really? You want to sign up? You are making a concerted effort to be a Browns fan.
Just own that you're a player fan, right? Like if you're a Clemson guy and you've never worn Jaguars teal, but you do now that Travis and Trevor are down there, just go, I'm a Clemson guy, and that's where my favorite 2 players are.
Yeah.
Just own it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We can keep that conversation going. I got a few more I want to get into. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
UC Kinetics.
Or find them online. Priority Heat and Air, HVAC.com.
This March, it's tourney time on Odyssey. Bring on the brackets with local info for each team from the Locked On Podcast Network. Placing bets? Get the best tips from BetQL shows like BetMGM Tonight, The Daily Tip, and more. Then hear every game live on the Odyssey app. Plus, each Saturday, get ready for the weekend's biggest moments with You Better You Bet Countdown to Tip-Off. Everything you need for the college basketball tournament lives on Odyssey.
Hey, right now, I'd like to carry more cards at my shop, but I just don't have the room. Every time I go in the back to get lighter blade, I trip over a dusty crate onto air filters and bang my head on some GTO radiator hoses. eBay Motors never has that problem. They stock all the right parts at the right prices. 120.
Oh, God.
What?
GTO radiator hoses.
They did mascot dance competitions during all the games. And Duke's Blue Devil not only got wiped out in every dance competition, but against Michigan State got booed off the court because all the Auburn and Miami fans that were there for Duke and Michigan were booing Duke. It was like 60%.
I saw your post about like anytime somebody would show up on the Kiss Cam or whatever, a Duke fan, they get booed. It's awesome.
It was hilarious. Can I take a second and give a little credit where credit is due to the South Carolina Gamecocks? I have been impressed since the NIL came on board with how they're handling player relations regarding NIL, right? So we told you last week that they had set up something I found very, very interesting. They had set up through the Garnet Trust, which is a non-university affiliated program to help student athletes take advantage of NIL possibilities. And we've seen them do some stuff. They did some stuff with Spencer Rattler where he got a little cash once he transferred in to do a meet and greet and autograph signing and stuff like that. Well, they set up, and we talked about this on the show last week, and he is going to join us later on this week. They set up a virtual concert with South Carolina quarterback Colton Gother. Colton Gother is going to be the probably third string quarterback this year, but he's a guy that's worked and toiled through on the depth chart and stayed at South Carolina. He's a guitar virtuoso, apparently a hell of a guitar player, and owns a custom Les Paul rig that he saved up and bought. And he's just a phenomenal guitar player. So they're doing a virtual guitar concert where for like $10, you can tune in. And for like 30 to 45 minutes, Colton is going to play guitar, but also take questions and answer questions from Gamecock fans virtually, which is kind of a cool idea, right? That's the kind of stuff that college football players, as they come in, are looking for nowadays, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that if you are trying to pick between multiple schools, and you look in South Carolina, because they can't advertise this to you, but you're not dumb. You've done your research, right? You look and you go, you know what? I play music, right? I know a lot of football players who play guitar, play music. You play a little music, and you see that there is an organization in Columbia that will help you organize virtual concerts where Gamecock fans will throw you a 10-spot a pop to just pop in and watch you play guitar / answer questions from them directly about the football team. That might sway you a little bit to go to South Carolina, right? Like maybe I'll be a backup, but they're going to set up virtual concerts for me to make some money.
Number one, it's a fantastic idea because it helps these players display their talents outside of football.
Sure.
In a way that fans want to connect with. They want to know what the third string wide receiver can do that's really interesting and cool. Why put it on TikTok when it's free when a lot of these guys have, they can't make money on TikTok or something like that. And especially I think this will be huge in basketball when fans have said vehemently over the last couple of years, I don't like college basketball anymore because I don't know the players on my team because they're one and done and I don't know who they are year in and year out. It's a completely different team. All I recognize is the uniform. And then if you've got a team like Oregon that likes to change things constantly, then you don't even really recognize the uniform anymore. So I could see, especially at the blue chip basketball programs, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
This is how you display these guys' talents in an interesting, fun, and creative way.
We talked about that on the show last week, and I put out a tweet linking to where you could buy tickets to that concert. And I was like, hey, congratulations, Colton Gauthier. Go get that cheddar, right? Go make that money. You've got this talent. How many guys playing college basketball want to be hip hop artists one day, right? How many guys playing offensive line want to be a hip hop artist one day? Set up a hip hop concert where they answer questions, right? It's a great idea. Well, I'm scrolling Twitter during the break just a second ago and found this kind of thing. This kind of cool too. The Gamecocks have a running back by the name of Dante Miller, right? Coming into the class of 2022. Just a minute ago. And this takes all of 5 minutes, tops, for a graphic design guy within the athletic department to put together. But the Gamecocks put out a tweet that says Gamecock Nation on this like really cool background. Here, I'll show it to Diesel, see what I'm talking about. Right, but like this dark background of Willie B. And it says Gamecock Nation, follow Dante Miller, class of 2022, running back number 3. And then it just lists his social media handles at the bottom, right? So they are encouraging South Carolina fans via social media to go follow the players on social media, which is going to elevate the social platform of guys like Dante Miller. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in the line of work that requires exposure for you to succeed, like me and Diesel are, how many times a week, Diesel, do we get emails and text and messages about do this on social, push your social, promote this on social, go to social? Because the larger your social media platform, the more influence you have, the more people you reach with anything you put out, the better it is for your personal brand, but the better it is for the entity that you're working for as well, which is effectively what's happening here. So now Dante Miller is going to grow his social media following by how many tens of thousands of Gamecock fans that are on social media that are going to follow one of their players, which means they can more directly interact with him. He can more directly interact with them. He can now go around to businesses in Columbia and outside of Columbia and South Carolina and go, hey, I got 37,000 Gamecocks fans following me. Why don't you toss me $500 to throw out a couple of tweets about your product, right? And all South Carolina did was have a graphic design guy take 3 minutes to put together this little plate that says, follow our guy on social media. And this might make a world of difference for Dante Miller.
It's almost as if organizations actively promoting their staff, or in this case, student athletes, the blowback on them is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Look, I will tell you, since I've been here 2 years, I have noticed the occasional bump up in my follower count, right? And I'm a freaking nobody on Twitter at the end of the day. I'm a nobody on Twitter. I'm sitting right now, Diesel, at a tick shy of 2,300 followers, right? When I moved here, I was at like 1,400, I think. So I've come up about 900 followers, right? I'm a nobody. But I see spikes in follower counts. Every now and then there's just a burst of followers. And I've tried to track where that comes from. And almost inevitably every time, it has to do with an ESPN Upstate tweet containing my handle going viral, right?
Right.
In the past, there have been segments where Mark and I have gotten into it on the air, and we push that on our podcast. And we go, Mark Ryan v. Rob Brown on Matt Stafford. Mark says Stafford's a bust and LA will pay for this. Rob says he promises Stafford's in the playoffs this year. Who's right? And I get a bump. Or, I'm live tweeting from the tournament and I put up a tweet about something that happened in game and it gets retweeted by Sporting News. And they include my handle and boom, I spike up 25, 30 listeners or whatever. it is enormous to be pushed by a platform bigger than your own. And as Gamecocks go, there's not a bigger social media platform than South Carolina football, right? And so if you're a football player and all the football team did was go, hey, Jay the intern doing graphic designs, put us together a little plate that we can push on the handle that says follow Dante Miller on his social media. They do that. Let's see. I'm even curious. Let's see what Dante Miller's follower count looks like now that they've put that up, because he retweeted it and said, hey, yo, follow me. Dante Miller is up since that went out 45 minutes ago. Looks to be up about 350, 400 followers. Now,
for a lot of people, if you're trying to build a social media following, 400 followers, unless you have something that just goes crazy viral, 400 followers might take you 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I've been on Twitter like 12 years. I got to like 1,200 before I got here, right? I was averaging effectively 100 followers a year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Got here, got some love off the ESPN Upstate, bumped up 900 followers in 2. All right. Now, again, I'm a nobody, right? I'm a nobody. Let's see what Jim Rome's account is at, the godfather of sports talk radio for no particular reason. Let's see what Jim Rome's handle looks like. And of course it won't just come up in a search. All right, let's do Coward. I know his is going to come up for me. Colin Coward, 1.5 million followers.
Jim Rome, 1.2 million.
There you go. I'm a fraction of those guys. But I've also noticed that in the 900 that I've grown in 2 years, my interactions with people skyrocket. Well, if I'm trying to push a product, right, get an endorsement, which is effectively what NIL deals are. If I'm trying to get a product endorsement, who knows what the amount of product endorsement I get is if I go from, as Lil Turbo did on Twitter, 300 followers to 1,300 in 45 minutes. And all South Carolina football did was throw up one little graphic that said, follow our dude on Instagram and Twitter. I didn't even check his Instagram numbers. They'll probably go higher on Instagram because Instagram, when you put up an eye-catching graphic like that and put the handle they want you to follow, it's 2 buttons. Click on the handle, click follow. It's that simple, right? But that can make a difference to a kid. When, I don't know, Jim Bob's Motor Car Sales in Columbia is looking for a guy to endorse, and they want a Gamecock football player, and Lil Turbo Dante Miller shows up on campus and he's got 300 followers versus one tweet drives him up. Let's say, let's see, how many followers does South Carolina football have?
While you're looking that up, shout out to Dr. Scott Smith, who just followed us on Twitter.
There you go. What's up,
Thank you,
Doc?
Dr. Scott Smith.
Thank you very much. The Gamecock football Twitter account, Diesel, has 413.3 thousand followers. What's 1%?
All you need is a fraction.
Yeah. What's 1% of 413,000.3? 413.3 thousand, right? I'm really bad at math, but that's a lot. About 41,000, over 41,000. If 1% of South Carolina's football program, no, sorry, it's 4,100. 1% of South Carolina's football following on Twitter follows this cat. By the way, that's why my jobs all include words and not numbers. 1%. My guy goes up to what? 4,700 followers on Twitter. If Jimbo's Sodas is trying to establish a following in Columbia, that dude pumping out one tweet to 4,700 South Carolina fans going, hey, my name's Dante. I play for South Carolina, and I drink Jimbo's energy drinks, right? If 1% of those go, I'll try it. I'll try that. That's a profit for them. Maybe that's worth $200 a tweet, right? And what did it cost South Carolina to promote their player like that? 3 minutes of time out of their
$0
graphic department.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that guy had these graphics already ready.
Yeah.
He just had to slap them together.
Yeah. Cost them 3 minutes of effort. And if you're a kid, you're a 17-year-old 4-star inside linebacker
who really cares how many followers you have on social media,
which a lot of kids do, right? They're influencers.
That means the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I got little cousins in my family that are like 10 and 11 trying to start YouTube channels. That's all they talk about. Well, my analytics say, I'm like, dude, you got 8 followers, right? But my analytics say those 8 followers really like this. So I'm gonna do more of that, right? They care. So now they're looking at a program that is setting up NIL opportunities to display their talent and is going out of their way by not going out of their way to pimp them on social media. It's easy. It's easy and they're doing it. And it's going to work. Let's take a break. We're back after this. I'm Rob. He's Diesel. This is ESPN Upstate. Oh, baby! I got the office studio at the house set up finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's nice.
I think the only thing I haven't tried this yet. I don't think we can like load audio into carts from home. I don't think we can do that yet.
We can load it into the net
The library?
storage,
We can put it in the
just not
library?
Yeah. Just
No,
not
so we can put it in net storage, but
not
not
into
the
our
library.
orbit.
Yeah, if we get to that point, like I'll just be able to do everything from home. Yeah, I've got to load some new audio because, it's going to be weird getting out of here at like 4:30. But great, I get to drive home in 5 o'clock traffic.
Eesh.
Woo! Love that.
As somebody who does that pretty much every day, it will make you want to murder people. Hello.
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 I am here from Discover.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
I want to get up to Charlotte and see a Charlotte FC game.
Let's go, dude. I'll go with you. You do not have to twist my arm to get me to a soccer game.
It looks like somebody just posted a video. Rob Waldron, our old engineer, posted a video from Saturday's game.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they are only selling the lower bowl. They're not selling the upper bowl. I think they sold upper bowl for the first game.
Yeah,
just because they knew it would sell.
Yeah, I want to say they either sold it out or got very close.
$20 seconds, and you got to be in and out relatively quick because we still have other stops set to go.
Can you go to my audio folder? Do you know where it is in my net storage folder? It's at the top. It's called One Show Audio.
Okay.
I want to pull the Rick Hendrick quote. So if you missed it, and I unfortunately did because your boy was working at the tournament at the Well this weekend, Atlanta Motor Speedway had a race that they basically turned the old Atlanta 1.5 miles into a mini super speedway. They extended it a little bit, and it went bonkers. Absolutely bananas. NASCAR tried something different, and shockingly, once again, in trying something different, it worked. It worked at the dirt race in Bristol last year. It worked at the Coliseum for the Clash this year. So this time, the driver said after a 50-minute practice session on Saturday that they expected absolute chaos. Of the 43 cars that started, 27 of them were involved in an accident. By the end of the race, there was a track record 46 lead changes in a race that took 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 14 seconds. And nobody was complaining it was too long because there was always something happening. That was always the gripe at the 1.5 mile tracks, is that you'd have these long races and nothing would happen. Cars would spread out, nothing would happen. This race took 4 hours and nobody claimed about it. 31 of the 37 cars in the race involved in a crash. Bubba Wallace and Cody Ware both said their incidents were the hardest accidents they've ever been involved with. And I am not alone in saying that NASCAR needs to do this more. Grow the sport by doing things that are different. Alongside me, maybe the biggest name in motorsports, Rick Hendrick, who said after the race this.
I think it's great for NASCAR. I mean, the stadium brought a lot of new fans in. The dirt track, I've got people coming out of woodwork wanting to go to Bristol now for that race. And I think it's exciting for the fans, and the drivers are adapting well. And this car, we basically run the same car everywhere. And so I think it's great for the sport. And I'd like to see a street race. So hopefully we'll just continue to work outside the box. And I think that's growing a lot of new fans for us.
How about Rick Hendrick saying, yes, I'd like to see a street race. Let's get outside of the box. Let's get weird, right? Diesel, if I try to talk you into watching a NASCAR race with me, just like, hey, it's Sunday, I'm drinking a beer, let's watch NASCAR. What do you say?
Probably not.
What if I say, let's watch a NASCAR race? Last week, 31 of the 37 cars got hit, spun, crunched, flipped. What if I said that afterwards, drivers were saying, this is raw insanity, what's going on out there? And what if I said this week, all that's happening, and it's a street race, just like through downtown Atlanta?
It sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. And the question is, will the drivers go for this as part of the season, how a championship is determined, or can this be extra races that are tossed in the middle of a season that are for cash, that are for, charitable donations? I mean, think about this. If you're a purist and you love them going round and round a circle at Talladega, at Daytona, at Bristol, at Martinsville, you're probably not going to be that into a race through the streets of downtown Charlotte. But if you say this is for a ridiculous amount of money that's going to be donated to charity, that it'll be like the Tiger versus Phil.
Yeah.
Get two guys to go head to head in an extra race that's just interesting and different and cool.
Here's the thing. This is true, I think, a lot of sports. Purists stagnate your sport, right? I don't want nothing to change.
Sure.
Stagnate your sport.
Sure.
Because after you've seen one thing without it changing for 15 years, that thing becomes boring.
Why do I need to watch it?
Right. Purists stagnate your sport. It's true in baseball. It's been my biggest gripe about baseball is you guys let the old hat baseball fans be in charge of what happens. And that's why baseball has stagnated its audience. It's still growing, but not nearly at the rate that it could. NASCAR with we only turn left and we only do it in a circle. Why? There ain't another racing circuit in America, the world, that only turns left, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't think you need to do a damn thing to Talladega or Daytona. They're exciting. They're energetic. They're fast paced. But the 1.5 mile cookie cutters like Charlotte, like Kansas, like Texas, they get boring. You got 3-second intervals between first and second, third, and fourth, and it just stays that way. And then you start forcing restarts just to make everybody back together, which ticks off everybody. What if one weekend we do a road race? One weekend we do a Sonoma race, and one weekend we do a super speedway. And then one race, we do a regular race, but we turn around and we go and we turn right this week, right? Like, why not change things up so that every race is different than every other race? And then everybody's got chance to earn points at what they're really good at to kind of create a little parity. They did that at Atlanta this weekend, and it was incredible. The only mistake that NASCAR did was that they did this experimental race, which worked out great, and they put it up against the first and second round of March Madness. That's the only mistake they made, was putting it up against Izzo and Duke. Well, in fact, I sat there, Diesel, and I'll say this and shut the hell up. I watched the guy in the media, the little media band, not only watching the race on his computer while Izzo and Kay were playing, Ryan McGee from ESPN, who I met, super nice guy, was standing over his shoulder watching the race at the basketball game. You put it up against Duke Michigan State, it's your only mistake.
Well, one thing they need to do, and I would watch this, it would be fantastic. You know what they say when they're talking about how young kids are consuming football? When they're given an option of what camera angles they want to watch, they want to watch the one that looks like they're playing Madden. They love that sky cam that hangs over the field because that's the way they've been taught to look at football.
Sure.
From a forward and backwards perspective rather than a left and right perspective. What if you had a 2 or 4 man mini all-star race in the streets of Chicago, in the streets of Charlotte, in the streets of Orlando, whatever it might be, with a drone following 15 feet above the car, about 30 feet back. That is the exact camera angle that kids watch when they're playing racing games. They follow that camera angle. This looks exactly like how they're playing video games. That would be fantastic. Again, this is Tiger versus Phil in a race car.
Yeah. So NASCAR has been using drones for coverage at big races, and it's been phenomenal. During one of the basketball games last week, they did a lower camera angle, right? That was closer to court side, that just had more lateral movement. And I put it on Twitter and like, how do y'all like this angle? Because it's different than the way up in the ceiling hard cam, but you're right there and you can damn near see the sweat on these guys. And everybody that responded was like, this is awesome. Because I feel like I'm at the game. I feel like I'm in the game more than I'm sitting up in the nosebleeds. You know what I mean? This is the kind of stuff that grows your sports, and I'm glad to see NASCAR embrace it. Let's take a break. Twitter trending topics to wrap us up on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. You drive up the price for the Saints, and you go draft the guy. What? Right, and I'm a freaking nobody. I'm a B.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and receipt information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online. Just go to 4hims.com/free. You'll get a free medical consultation. Discreet shipping is prescribed. A 100% online process and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra. The same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/free. That's 4hims.com/free for your free online visit.
FORHINS.com/FREE.
Hey, it's Quinn Mayo, and you already know that BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Now you can win a trip to Las Vegas to live like a king during college basketball's championship week. You and the guests will stay at the beautiful Aria Resort and Casino and enjoy the full VIP experience during one of the biggest sporting events of the year. Over $1,000 for food, a private suite at Aria Sportsbook Lounge, and more. Enter now at BetQL.com/BetMGM. That's BetQL.com/BetMGM. See site for official rules.
Prescription costs require an online physician consultation and only available if the physician determines the prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Dealing with ED is difficult enough.
Oh, this is a great Twitter trending topic.
Already excited.
And it's sent right to your home for free. A discreet package. Hims offers the same medication you get from your doctor, but without the coding, expensive appointments, or awkward face-to-face conversations. And with Hims, every online visit is free. New relationship, right back on track. For a free online consultation, go to forhims.com/join.
I really like the way your stream, the whole stream looks.
Yeah,
that looks really, really good. The
Yeah.
We'll Be Right back screen looks great.
Keegan made that for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Keegan, if you're still there, which I don't know if you are, you did a fantastic job. Does it actually move to? Is it a video or is it a
This
is it just
one's
a still
not, but
image?
I think you can. I don't know if you can make one that is. I think you can.
Yeah. Well, Keegan did a great job.
Yeah, no, he did a phenomenal job. He's got that one, and then he made me. Let me see if I've uploaded the other ones yet. I don't think I have. No, he's made me a couple of them. He also made these for when we go to break. I can throw these up.
Yeah.
And then he made 2 of them.
So where does the movement on that come from?
It saves as a video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it saves as a video file, and then it just loops over.
Nice.
Yep.
So he created it with the moving graphics and all that? Nice. I can do still graphics, but I don't have a clue how to do moving graphics. Oh, we're going to have time for like one.
Yeah, if that.
A very abbreviated version. Here's what's happening on the internet. Let's see what Rob Brown knows about it. Topic number 1 is Pusha T.
Pusha T. I saw something earlier about Pusha T and McDonald's.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Pusha T and his brother co-wrote the McDonald's jingle, I'm Loving It, in 2003. But he says he made peanuts from that deal. Now he's getting even with a new fish sandwich diss track for Arby's.
I'm in. I'm all in. Back here tomorrow for the Rob Brown Show. See you then. Bye. All right, stream. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We will